Hello, everybody. How are you all? Happy Thursday. It is week two of month of marketing, and that means that Thursday for the whole of this month is going to be my favorite day of the week. Let us know in the chat, guys, how many of you joined last week. I'll be really interested to know if this is your first taste of month of marketing, whether you joined us last week and you're rejoining us again because you obviously had so much fun with us last week. The theme of this month is unpopular opinions, and as I was just saying to these ladies in the speaker room, I am really excited to one chat with all of them because they are incredible creators, women in business, and people to really look up to, not just when it comes to a LinkedIn journey, but like women in incredible careers as well. Um, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. We're talking all about LinkedIn today, and I feel frustrated most of the time seeing the same takes over and over again. So I'm treating this month as an opportunity to bring amazing people together to say the things that other people aren't, whether that is hot takes, their stories, the behind the scenes. And I am thrilled to have you guys watching as part of that, whether you're joining us live or whether you are watching us on the replay, of which hello, and I hope you enjoy the next 55-ish minutes with us. The title of today's session is LinkedIn is Cool Now. I actually did a post titled this back in November, I think it was. And it was funny. It was on the Pretty Little Marketer business page. I posted it on LinkedIn. Of course, it thrived there. Everyone was like, hell yes, the LinkedIn's amazing. I cross-posted on Instagram. And boys and girls and people, let me tell you, the comments on those meta platforms were brutal. And it seems the sentiment isn't always shared. But today we're getting into the long and short of it. Is LinkedIn cool now? What does it mean? How can it help you? Should you bother? How do you monetize? And everything in between. Now, that's enough from me. You can see these beautiful ladies, and you're probably wondering, who are they? Well, actually, I hope you're not. I hope you follow all of them because why aren't you, first of all? Second of all, those of you silly enough not to, I'm going to hand over to Kirsti to introduce herself first. We'll hear from the amazing ladies and then we'll dive right in.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I love the title of this panel. Also, it feels like we're in a LinkedIn bubble sometimes where I'm like, obviously, LinkedIn is cool. Like, why is this an unpopular opinion? But you're so right. On other platforms, like, folks just don't get it. So I'm excited to dig into that. My name is Kirsti Lang. I am a content creator and also a part-time creator. I'm a content creator in my real job and in my after hours job, I guess, and LinkedIn is my primary platform. I'll hand it over to you.
Hey. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so for the opportunity. My name is Jerrica Long. I have a new role at Creator Match, so you're hearing it first. It is the Community Partnerships Lead. So I'm excited to talk more about that and what that means. But I'm also a content creator myself, and I create my own content and that sort of thing. So yeah, excited to talk about why LinkedIn is cool and why everybody should be posting. So I'll pass it to Tameka.
Congratulations. Hi, everyone. My name is Tameka Bazile. I live and breathe social. I oversee B2B social and content at Business Insider. And I'm also a content creator. I call that my 5 to 9, AKA like 5 p.m. to 9 a.m., because that's how long you work on that too. And so, yeah, I'm super excited to be here. I have long been a Pretty Little Marketer stan, so I'm excited to get into LinkedIn, which has brought us together, and let's talk about it.
Yippee! Amazing! So my first question is to all three of you, and I'll come to you first, Kirsty, for the sake of pattern and completeness. And LinkedIn used to be cringe, and I guess to many people it still is, but to me that is a sentiment of the past. Okay, we're past it now. LinkedIn is totally cool now, and you heard it here first. I think for a lot of people, maybe outside, I know you said the LinkedIn bubble, outside of our LinkedIn bubble, they see it as like motivational quotes, humble brags, or, the classic, like, I am excited to announce type of post. So LinkedIn used to be cringe, but a lot of people still think it is. So I would love your answer first, Kirsty, and again we'll go around all of you, is LinkedIn actually cool now? And I guess as part of that, like what does good look like to you on the platform in 2026?
Muted. What was I muted?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I thought it was
Embarrassing.
me.
Okay. It was gonna happen to one of us at some point. It was me. Don't worry for everyone. Whew, now I feel uncomfortable. I love this question. Yes, I obviously do think LinkedIn is cool now. I think so many folks love the idea of becoming content creators. Um, but it often kind of takes away from their 9 to 5 rather than adds to it. So, the whole point of 5 to 9, 9 to 5. If you want to become a TikTok creator or an Instagram creator, that kind of has to happen over and above your actual job, which supports your life. Whereas becoming a LinkedIn creator can support your job and work in harmony with it. So I think that is why LinkedIn is cool for creators now. I think it's a phenomenal platform for leveling up your skills. Even if you're not a creator, if you're just consuming on there, if you want to be a better marketer or a better engineer, yes, there is a bit of cringe on there, but there is so much wonderful, hard won information that folks are and like wisdom and knowledge that can help you grow as a professional. So heck yes, LinkedIn is cool now.
I agree. I will come to you next, Jerrica. Is LinkedIn cool now?
Yes, I think so. And I'm gonna tell you why. I think it's because most of us spend more time doing working our 9 to 5 than we do with our families. And thank goodness we have a platform. We can show up, talk about it, talk about the work and show the work so that, opportunities come to us. So I think it is cool. I think LinkedIn is a place of you have to make it cool in the sense of you have to build your community and post and talk about things and have a strong point of view and all of that. But definitely, and there's so much money to be made on LinkedIn. So yes.
Absolutely. And then finally, what do you think, Tameka?
Yeah, I mean, I echo everyone's sentiments. I think ultimately what we're seeing happen with LinkedIn and why we get so much pushback and discourse about it is that LinkedIn is one of the only platforms that people have to actively relearn how to use. And so I think a lot of LinkedIn users in their initial exploration of it saw it as a certain type of platform, right? You go on when you need a new role, you go on to announce your new role, you go on to announce your layoff, right? And then you disconnect from it once you are firmly in place at your new place of employment and you don't ever revisit it again. And I think over time, the platform itself has had an overhaul of personality, and a lot of people they just haven't adapted to that. And because of that, we get a lot of that, like, well, what are people even doing there? So, like, when we talk about the difference in how audiences respond to LinkedIn on the platform versus off the platform or like on other platforms like meta platforms, it's because other platforms have never had to reinvent themselves. And LinkedIn is one of the only ones that has. And so what we're seeing is just a slow evolution of who is going to be on that train and who is taking longer to get on it.
Well
All
said.
that to say, LinkedIn is cool. Yes.
I have been posting on LinkedIn now for 5 years, which in like creator world, I'm a complete baby. But in, I guess, LinkedIn world, and to what you were saying there, Tameka, I have seen the platform change and change and change. Not just, you know what, guys, 4 years ago, I could post anything and get like 500 likes, viral. It would be amazing. Now I'm struggling for 30. That's okay. We'll get onto that today too, I'm sure. But even like what people post, my feed now, and Karis has said in the chat as well, I do think it's all about curating your feed because I never see the cringy, what X taught me about B2B sales posts, and I don't either. All I see on my feed are mostly amazing women, which I'm not mad about at all, doing cool things, sharing their stories, and sharing their work. I think the biggest And I think I'm a bit emotionally attached to LinkedIn anyway, and I'm biased by giving this session this title because it is cool to me, is because it completely changed my life. It made me visible when I was a student and I had nothing on my CV. It puts me in front of my dream brands that would never notice me otherwise, and it has opened the door to roles and opportunity. I run my own business. I have no idea what I'm doing, but LinkedIn has given me the tool and the platform to do so. I know all three of you have amazing stories about how LinkedIn has done the same for you, but my first question is for you, Kirsty. You have written online about how building your personal brand on LinkedIn is first and foremost what landed you your current role at Buffer. You are posting consistently, growing an audience, and it opened the door for you. And what I thought was really interesting about your career progression there is that at Buffer, in your current role, your job title has changed from content writer to content creator. So content creator by day now, content creator by night. Can you tell us a little bit about what that shift means in practice? And in that too, if someone's watching and they think like, oh, that's cool, Kirsty, I would love to get my next role through LinkedIn, what advice would you give them there?
I love this question. Well, two parts to this question. I think the shift from content writer to content creator is more kind of a snapshot of marketing generally right now rather than a reflection of, the impact of LinkedIn. My work on LinkedIn has certainly helped me embody that role. Yeah, so my fellow content writer turned content creator Tammy on the Buffer team, we like to joke about the fact that we are one woman content studios. So whereas historically we were kind of, the mandate was, this is a blog post for you to write. Now it's, here's a piece of content for you to create. Where does it live? Is it, it lives on YouTube, it lives on the blog, and also it can be a LinkedIn post or a reel, or so that's kind of how we think about our work now, and that's what the shift looks like in practice, I think. The second part of your question, Sophia, remind me, it was about getting started on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah,
I got
so you
into
landed
ways.
your
Yes.
role at Buffer using LinkedIn. So anyone who would maybe like to do the same,
Yeah.
what would you say?
Yeah. I think it's fair to say being active on LinkedIn and building an audience there helped me land my role. But I've certainly, I think I would classify myself as an aspiring LinkedIn creator when I started at Buffer. And I think the support of the team and the skills that I've gained there have really helped me, I think fully kind of embrace that and become that. But yeah, if you are looking to start doing that, phenomenal. Yes, start today. It is not too late. I think a lot of folks will kind of be, oh, I want to be a creator on TikTok, but it's too late. Instagram's too late. YouTube, LinkedIn is now. You're not too late for it still. It is still kind of, the evolution is quite slow. So I think you're bang on if you want to start right now. My first piece of advice for someone looking to use it to support their career is don't even start thinking about content or content pillars or strategy. First, look at your profile. And I think a lot of folks talk about optimizing your profile. That sounds a bit like LinkedIn tech bro-ish, but really all that means is just making sure it's complete and approachable. So yes, fill out everything. Make sure you have a high quality, approachable profile photo and cover photo. Fill out all your previous roles and add in what you did and what impact that had, like all of the kind of CV stuff, resume stuff. And I think equally as important as that is bring yourself into that profile. So don't just kind of show who you are professionally, show who you are as a human being. And I think that just having that little splash of personality and like window into who you are, also it makes you so much more approachable if you are looking to gain followers and an audience, but also for prospective employers as well. I think it makes it easier for them to just kind of connect with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree. For me, my LinkedIn profile, especially when I freelanced at the beginning of my career, I freelanced for 4 years before doing what I do now full time for 2. And I always treated my LinkedIn profile as like my first impression. If someone didn't see, if I never posted, if I never commented, but someone landed on my profile, what do I want them to know about me? What do I want to be known for? I remember in my LinkedIn header, I used to have like founder at Pretty Little Marketer or freelance social media manager. And then it would say, I make social media simple. I wanted to make it as easy as possible to guide someone into like, what does Sophie do and what is she good at? And I agree, I think it's a really underrated part of building a brand on LinkedIn. We always go straight to the content, but I completely agree, Kirsty, and that is great advice. Now, speaking of being a LinkedIn creator, I want to come to you next, Tameka. You call yourself a corporate creator, a corporate baddie, I guess, if you will, but a corporate creator on the CV. You obviously have your full-time role at Business Insider, but you are also doing brand deals on LinkedIn with the likes of Lyft, Notion, Sprout Social, and I'm sure a very long list as well, both now and coming. For most people, those kind of feel like two separate identities. You know, I am in my day job, but I'm also a LinkedIn creator or potentially an aspiring LinkedIn creator. What do you think the difference is between like a personal brand that carries you through role and the 5 to 9 and being a creator is? And at what point did yours become something that brands want to work with?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I spent so much time trying to keep my full-time career and what I was building on LinkedIn as separate as possible. Even though I knew that, my employers and my professional network could see what was happening. When I first started posting on LinkedIn 4 years ago. And so at the time, I had a lot of fear around what overexposure in my career would look like, or not even in my career, but like to my job. And over time, I just established boundaries that I felt like would give me a little bit more opportunity to really show up in the ways that were important to me, but also still being able to represent my company or where I was working at the time to the best extent, right? So that I could maintain that separation as long as possible. But then once I started to grow, that separation just became thinner and thinner. And after a while, it became something that was just so vastly different than what I anticipate. I didn't anticipate any of this. First to say, I think sometimes it can be easy to think that like this was part of a master plan. I am 100% taking this day by day. like and so when I really started to see that shift from, okay, like this is no longer kind of like my separate persona or something that I can maintain in complete separation from my full time role. It now became okay, how do I leverage the corporate creator element? How do I protect it for both myself and my company? So now instead of personal boundaries, it also became, okay, where do I kind of see myself legally in both spaces, right? Like, how do I start to redline employment contracts? How do I ensure that I have candid conversations with supervisors? How do I ensure that I show up every day to the office and I'm not the office influencer, right? Because I have to maintain these social connections with my colleagues and ensure that they still see me as accessible. And so over time, I stopped seeing myself as like, okay, social strategist and creator. And instead, that new kind of persona became kind of like that corporate creator element. And then when it comes to kind of like the brand deals and working with these partners and these companies, and what that looks like for me over time. I still remember the first brand deal I ever did. It was $350. And I thought that was insane to make $350 to like clickety clack on the computer really quickly, something I was already doing. And money pop up in my bank account for it. And at the time, there weren't brand deals happening on LinkedIn, right? This wasn't anything that I could ask for advice on or really understand, okay, where is this even supposed to go? But I knew that I had an opportunity here to leverage my audience, but also bring them opportunities that I may have had to learn the hard way, whether it was tools that made my job easier, resources that gave me answers that I didn't have to go searching for. So when I started taking brand deals, it was my opportunity to really be able to introduce my audience to more information, more access that they don't have to go like searching for on their own to make both their jobs and lives easier. And yeah, I think overall, a big part of why I have now like stopped separating those identities is because I wouldn't even be working at Business Insider if I wasn't a creator. Like, as something that I tried so hard to protect and so hard to keep separate is now what has companies looking for me. And at that point, that is when I was like, okay, like I have an opportunity here to come up with something completely new. And the concept of a corporate creator, someone who is actively balancing both, where both in-house respects what you're doing as a creator and you as a creator respect what you're doing both in-house, um, has just been quite the journey. And I'm still learning so much about it every day. But I think that more and more people would be surprised how much opportunity they might have to embrace this type of lifestyle too.
I love every part of that answer, especially the corporate creator piece on how it almost marries like the personal brand and creator brand into one thing that can
Yes.
coexist together.
Yeah.
My first brand deal was with a tool called Planable, who 4 years later I still work with. They
Oh,
are
wow.
potentially sponsoring our first ever conference. I've done blog posts for them, webinars with them. And I think I had around 100,000 followers on LinkedIn at the time. And I was exactly the same. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not a creator. I'm not an influencer. So to be paid to post about something I loved blew my mind. And I remember they emailed me. They were like, "Hey, Sophie, like, how much would you charge for a LinkedIn post?" And I was like, "Well, there's nothing on Google about this. I have no idea." And I charged them £80. And it's funny, I recently found the invoice because I was doing some slides about my journey as a LinkedIn creator, and to see like where we started versus where we are. And likewise, £80 at the time, that's like 2 weeks of a food shop for me. That's like at least my electricity bill for a month in London. I was pumped. So it is, and I, same as you, I still have no idea what I'm doing now, less so then. So hopefully for you guys watching, it's like Tameka's story here is like such a testament to like just starting and seeing what happens. On that, Tameka, I would love to hear a little more on the practicalities between balancing you're a senior full-time role within a pretty prestige brand, right? And then alongside that, you're working with your favorite brands, you're creating organic
Yes.
content. How do you manage the two time-wise and prioritize?
Yeah. I get this question a lot, and I think people are always surprised when I'm like, balance, like, what's that? Like, what is that really? Like, I think, and this is something that like I even constantly give myself shit about, right? Like, because I really don't think that there is a ongoing kind of equilibrium that you can accomplish with doing this type of work. I overall tell people that like you kind of have to work in seasons and you also have to give yourself boundaries. But you also sometimes have to be okay with letting yourself just crash out. Like, I am a big proponent of like, I have exactly 17 minutes to open this laptop and see what I can get done before my brain glitches and it's all over for the evening. So within those 17 minutes, you open up that laptop, you look at your email, you look at your QuickBooks, you look at your LinkedIn, whether it's answering comments, whether it's sending invoices, it's whatever I can get done in these 17 minutes, right? And then I disconnect. But I think overall, like when I first started out, I gave myself a lot of arbitrary expectations for how often I was going to show up, how often I was going to post, like, and so, and I didn't really have any legitimate goals that I was trying to reach by doing so. Having, expectations for how much money I make or how many brands I work with this year, like I just realized it just created a lot of stress because I do have a full-time job. And so I had to really take a step back and ask myself, okay, like, where are the goals that I'm setting coming from? Are these goals because I'm trying to keep up with other people in my sphere and other creators who have these big lofty goals for whatever reason that they might have them, right? They are full-time creators, right? Like they are building a certain type of business or a certain type of structure. So I really had to take a step back and realize that, like, okay, what is reasonable for my current lifestyle and what I'm trying to achieve long term? And I always say, like, when it comes to prioritizing, um, between the hours of like 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., when I'm either in the office or working at Business Insider, um, I prioritize what the work is that I'm doing there. But that work still somehow ends up giving me a lot of creative inspiration for being a creator. And so it never actually feels like it's separate, and it never actually feels like there is a real balance here because they both feed each other on and off. And so, yeah, like next week, I'm completely out of office, both at Business Insider and in my business. And it's just small boundaries like that that I think ultimately really create the concept of balance. But I don't necessarily think that balance is something that you can legitimately achieve on a day to day basis. I think at the end of the day, you choose to be consistent. You give yourself an understanding of, okay, what is reasonable for me to accomplish within a certain timeline? Or even do I have to give myself a timeline? Like, be for real, right? Like, is it realistic that you have to make 100K within a year? Is it realistic that, like, do you have to? Or is this something that's really just going to make you feel good, like, about yourself? If you reach the 100K in 107 days instead of 100, does that really change the accomplishment? So yeah, like when I talk about balance, I always say that I think balance is a very idealist way of looking at what we're building here, especially if we are comparing the race that we're running to full-time creators or people who have very
Mm.
legitimate or very different makeups for what they are doing. I hope that made sense.
It does make a lot of sense. And, this is my full-time job. Being a creator is my full-time job. And there are even weeks where I can't get a single post out. Less because of time, more because I'm 6 years in and I can put up a post on PLM in a minute. I mean, I'll have to write it, send it to our amazing designer, and then schedule it and then post it. When it comes to personal brand creator Sophie, oh my goodness, I'm paralyzed every time I try and post. But I completely agree about finding the pockets of time you have and figuring out what is the most that I can do in the time that I have. And I think that being realistic is something that the internet has really stolen from us. I think that it is dream big, girls and boys. I genuinely live my dream life. I have the dream job I didn't know existed. But within that, it's being realistic about what you as an individual can do. So I think that is a great reminder for me, first of all, but hopefully a great reminder for you guys watching as well. Diving deeper into the LinkedIn brand partnerships, I know we've had a question in the chat actually, which leads on very nicely to my first question for you, Jerrica. Because at Creator Match, you're still a creator, but by day you are on the other side of this. You are the one that brands come to when they want to find LinkedIn creators to work with. As I've said, I've been a creator now for 5 years. I'd worked on paid brand deals for the majority of that time. And guys, I'm not saying this because Jerrica's here and she's representing Creator Match, but I truly have not worked with a more organised team or agency ever. So first of all, thank you for your service. You guys do an amazing job. But second to that, I would love for our guys who, I feel like for us guys here, we have really good insight because we are creators, we work with brands, but for anyone watching who's maybe never worked with a brand before and we say, we work on brand deals, what does that mean? How do you connect brands with LinkedIn creators? What does that process look like?
Love it. I'm so happy that you enjoy working with Creator Match because we enjoy working with you too. Sophie's one of my favorites, and I'm not just saying that because I'm on call with her right now. Like, she's legit.
Stop it. She's saying that because I'm here, guys.
I would say, so what I do is I get a brief And as they're talking about the idea or the campaign strategy or the concept, I'm already thinking about creators. Like I have my own watch list of creators that probably haven't ever had a brand deal, but I want to put them in something, my personal goal. And I think the goal of the agency is to work with creators that never got a deal before because everybody has to get their foot in the door. And it's really important to always reach back. And so a lot of bigger brands are really open to that. So I try to make sure that I'm having conversations and sourcing people in real life, but also online. I do my own sourcing. But I would say it starts with the brief. It starts with understanding what their goals are and understanding the creator marketplace. Like, I'm a person where I am talking about creators. I know what Tameka does well. I know how to pitch her. I know how to pitch you, Sophie. I know what to talk about. I know what posts to share in reference to you as well. And I'd say for people who have never had a brand deal before, start reaching out to agencies, start reaching out to brands. Like, I love when people say, "Oh my God, Jerrica, I want to send you my media kit. Keep me in mind for XXX." Or plus up, they go to the website and they say, "Oh, I know you guys are working with this brand. This is my favorite brand. I've done these 3 posts that have done extremely well. I would love to be considered for future campaigns." Like, pitch yourself. You are your biggest cheerleader. So yeah, people come to me and then I go to them. I'm always trying to, I'm always outside, is like I say, to meet creators and talk to them. And that leads back to my new role because I like finding people, I like giving them opportunity.
Sorry guys, I'm pressing buttons. My mic's coming on and off, my camera's going on.
Me too. I just like raised my hand and I was like, whoa, what was that?
It's a moment. I am no, I love that, Jerrica. I started my career, my first ever role. I was a student and I worked alongside PLM and alongside my studies as an influencer marketing manager for a boutique agency back in my hometown in England, just a small town girl. And it's really funny now working on the other side of it. I used to pitch to brands, I used to scout creators, and now I'm the other end of it being pitched too. Um, and I think that people really underestimate both sides of a creator partnership, both one, what a creator does, but two, it's so much more than just finding creators, pitching to them. You have brand reputations, you have briefs, you have goals that you need to achieve as well. For any of our guys watching who maybe they are on LinkedIn, they are posting, they consider themselves a creator and they would like to start making some money from brand deals. Aside from putting on their brave boots and pitching, whether that is agencies or brands directly, what is it that a creator does that gets on your radar? When you're recommending someone to a brand that maybe you haven't worked with before, is it a certain type of content? Is it how often you see them? Is it something on their profile? What might someone need to do to be visible to the right people and teams like yours?
Great question. I would say your headline saying that you're a creator is super, super helpful. Having a contact email or something like that on your LinkedIn page is extremely helpful. I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to new creators in the DMs and they never respond and they miss out on a really great deal with a very big brand. So keep that. Making yourself easily hireable is one of them. I also think consistency. I look at consistency. I'm looking at your last 30 days of posting content. Have you been consistent? And when I say consistent, I'm not saying every single day because everybody can't do that, right? But is it 3 times a week? Is it 5 times a week? And then are you already talking about the brand? I love to pitch people who are already fans of the brand that I'm pitching. Like it's almost always a yes. Like I have a very high success rate of pitching new people when they've already been posting about a brand. So,
I
yeah.
think it was Diana, who I'm sure many of you probably follow and know on LinkedIn. Have you guys seen the brick? It's like a little physical, how would you describe it? Like an accessory, and you can like brick your phone, so it like locks you out of your phone. You can leave your brick in certain places. I think she shared content on this, but she either DM'd them or organically tagged them in a post, and they sent her a brick. And I don't know if it was a paid campaign or like a gifted campaign, but how fun. I love the idea and how simple that is to just talk about what you're loving, talk about what you're doing, tag them in the post. I remember when I freelanced, really like in my very early days, the thought of pitching terrified me. I had no idea what to say. I also just felt like such an imposter. Like I have no experience. I feel bad slipping into your DMs and taking your time. So what I used to do to the brands I wanted to work for is I would always be the first to comment on their like company LinkedIn posts. So I worked with a brand called Lounge. They were my first ever client. And I'd always be the first in their LinkedIn comments, be like, this is really cool, team, or like adding my 2 cents. So as you said, there are so many ways to make yourself visible. And I think that note on the customer journey or the influencer marketer journey after they notice you in your headline, in your bio, having an email, having a media kit ready, that matters just as much as this as well. So that's expert insight here, guys. That is amazing. Before I come to my final question for all of you, because we have a bunch of questions in our Q&A that I want to go through, I want to come back to you first, Kirsti, because I know that within Buffer, it's not just you that is a LinkedIn queen. You have many LinkedIn kings, queens, and royalty amongst your Buffer roster, and there's clearly a culture of showing up on LinkedIn. I know for many of the guys watching, and back when I was in like full-time roles, I was like the only person that posted on LinkedIn, and I felt like such a silly Billy. I actually remember when I was in that agency role, I had blocked my boss and my colleague on LinkedIn so they couldn't see me posting. I just needed to get rid of them so I could do what I needed to do. But as I said, there's clearly a culture of posting and putting yourself out there within your team. From your perspective, being part of a company with that culture, what does it take to build that kind of environment internally? And what would you say is the difference between a team that genuinely buys in and one that is told to post?
A great question. I think this is probably the question the marketing team at Buff gets asked most often. Anyone working in tech will probably, or SaaS or anything like that, will know the term dog food in your product, which is a bit gross. It basically just means kind of like testing your product, whether you're in the marketing team or the engineering team, and just, knowing it inside out. And that, I think, at Buffer for us, that is table stakes. So we make social media management software, so much more than social media management, but that's the best way to explain it. Yeah, so I think we have this concept called team of creators, and I think that was coined by our founder and CEO Joel, and his kind of, I don't want to say mandate, like his dream was for him, everyone at Buffer, kind of be creators, so not just dog fooding the product, but embodying the kind of person who needs the product. And I think that has unlocked so much for us, both in building a better product, and also it's incredibly powerful for our marketing as well to have so many folks at the company who people connect with. But it's also, as we've discussed, incredibly empowering for our own careers. There are a bunch of us who are monetized on LinkedIn and other platforms now because of that. But I understand, like, it obviously can come quite naturally to the marketing team, maybe, but probably not to the rest of the company. And I definitely have to give my teammate Sabrine a shout out for this. She has been the driving force behind a team of creators. She has created resources, and we have like a Slack channel that's dedicated to our creative work. And it's just a really supportive, encouraging environment. So we'll kind of be able to ask each other questions and, give feedback on posts. And it's really, really incredible to have folks cheering you on. So to your point, Sophie, about kind of feeling like, oh, it's cringy, I shouldn't be doing this, and I don't want my boss to see this. We're really lucky in that our boss supports us doing this and recognizes how powerful it is for the company to be active on LinkedIn. So I think there is a lot of, like, if this is something you feel strongly about and you're on a marketing team and you're like, folks talk about it as employee advocacy. If we need to get this going in our company, you probably do. Absolutely. It's incredible. But I think there is a lot of kind of internal pitching and selling that you would need to do to foster that kind of environment, because I think that's where it really comes from. We're getting that support, but we're also seeing senior folks at the company doing it. We have, incredible resources from Sabrine and the rest of the content team. So there is so much that goes into it. But yeah, I think that kind of the good vibes are what keep us coming back. And then, of course, once you get started, right, it can be, I feel like anyone who's had success on social will recognize how addictive is maybe the wrong word, but kind of how motivating it can be to have success and to be like, okay, I've got a better idea and this is what's going to happen. Um, yeah. So I hope that answers the question, but it's a huge team effort and yeah, we have a lot of fun.
That's a brilliant answer. And we had the team from Slate join us last week to talk about our session was titled B2B's Not Boring, You Are. And we kind of unpacked the myths around B2B marketing and how it doesn't have to be like plain, it can be interesting. And something that all three of their team and their founder do is they actively build their own brands as creators because one, it benefits them as individuals, but as a company effort as well, it's such an incredible marketing tool, as you said, to have the people in your company representing the company and the tool that you use as well. I know and I imagine what it takes to build an engine, like an advocacy engine that works. I imagine for a lot of these guys watching or you guys watching, if you're already posting on LinkedIn, like what an amazing case study to pitch to your team. Like this is what has worked for me. I post once a week. These are my impressions. Shall we try it together? So I think it really excites me to think not just as individuals, but for those of you maybe representing brands on LinkedIn, or maybe you're a founder with a company and you have a team. Like it really excites me to think about the potential there as well. Because LinkedIn is cool now, guys, as we said, so you all need to be on there. Right, we have some amazing questions in the chat, in the Q&A box, so we'll try and get through as many as possible, guys. So I guess I'll start. Everyone is like hyping up Amy's question in the chat. So Amy, we're going to come to you first because the gang have been on it. So I'm going to pitch this to all of you, and whoever wants to jump on in, jump on it. And if no one jumps in, maybe I'll blab just to fill the silence. But Amy's question is, do you ever find it difficult that so much of marketing is to be aware of what's going on in the world and the news and being able to react to that? So is that a challenge that you share? And I guess in that as well, like how do you navigate that if you do?
I'll jump in just as a creator myself. I think one of the things I do for like one of my pillars is industry news. I think when you are creating on a place like LinkedIn, news is such a big part of the algorithm and what people are talking about. I do think if you want to build an audience and really build yourself as an authority in a space, you should be talking about whatever's relevant to your news, right? If it's tech news or if it's something with an app or whatever the case may be, like finding that. And I find those posts do really well with me. Whenever I give my little chat about something that's happening in the entertainment industry or B2B marketing, people have lots to say in the comments. So I don't feel obligated to talk about it in a way that makes me sad or frustrated. More like, oh girl, I have a thoughts. Are you ready?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think it's twofold for me. So I actually interpreted that question differently, but I want to piggyback off of what Jerrica said first. But I do think that like being able to give your own 2 cents or your thoughts on industry news is important. I tend to be the type of creator that like once I see everyone talking about something, I don't feel the need to add my voice to it. Unless it is something where I'm like, all right, y'all, like, like we've talked this to death. like, and that I think for me, I have just never been, I enjoy the entertainment of trends, but I have just noticed I'm personally not someone who enjoys participating in them. And so I think it's also important for you to know, okay, do I have something worth saying in regard to this industry news where it can be impactful to my audience, or something worth being heard? Or am I just hopping on it because it seems as if the train is going fast? And as a creator, I have found that trying to find the line with that is something that you constantly have to straddle because it can become something you immediately fall back on when you feel like, oh, I have nothing to say this week and like things of that nature. And for me, that is just my way of kind of maintaining some semblance of authenticity as a creator, is not feeling like I am beholden to the internet or to the algorithm, because you can very quickly start to feel like, oh, like reach is down, I'm not getting, and as somebody who's monetized, I'm constantly like back and forth about that, like reach is down, like, oh my, will I get money, like will brands want to work with me? And it just becomes this like cadence of, am I going to enjoy this if I have to keep overthinking it in this way? And so that's a big reason why I think of it in that regard. But in regards to the question, I actually also interpreted it as like, as marketers, we get like we get a full blast of all the bad things happening in the world as well. And we just have to keep posting our cute memes and, and like just going about our business. And that, if that was the intention of the question, I do have to say that that has something that has also been kind of plaguing me for a while too, and I don't necessarily think I have a solution to it. But I can say that I understand how the field of social media is one that has a lot of rapid turnover of people, or how people can get mentally kind of like exhausted with it and have to go in a different direction. Because yeah, it's sometimes it just feels like there's a war going on over here and we're in a field throwing up flowers and like skippity and like, whimsying through the internet streets. And that disconnect can get disheartening, and it can get tiring. And I have been a very big proponent lately of just like logging off. And I know we talk a lot about logging off, but like I don't think there's ever been a time period in life where I have been more consistently ready to disconnect than as of late. And I think that that's okay. Like, I don't think that we need to be in the era of you have to be constantly online to be good or to be worthy. And I hope other marketers feel that too.
I agree. I'm actually taking the whole, I did a post about this today actually, how I'm taking the whole of June off public posting. And it was funny, people in the comments were like, yeah, you're having a break, enjoy your month off. I was like, oh no, I'm still working, I'm just not going to be posting. I'm just not posting about it. Something that I found, and I still do, like a real pressure, especially when like my brand is being a marketer, to always be the first to talk about something. And I see it too, Tameka, anytime, when there's like a new campaign or a brand or something, and all of a sudden every single post in my feed is people saying the exact same thing. And half of me is like, I love that for you, because to share your thoughts on the internet, especially LinkedIn, is hard and scary, because there are some real a-holes on that platform who don't want, especially women, to have a place to say things. But then the other half of me just wants to log off for the day, because I don't want to see Sydney Sweeney's jeans campaign on my feed. Again, I've read it all before. Something I found really useful is I find myself spending a lot less time looking for inspiration on social media these days, and I am really intentional about the sources that come to me. The In Case You Missed It newsletter by Leah Haberman, amazing for social media updates. I love Silence Brand for my like what's going viral, people brands and things, a great Instagram for like brand moves and campaigns. And outside of those three, there really isn't much that I go looking for. So I completely agree with what you guys were both saying. And for me, it's about figuring out what's important. But also, as you were saying to me, like maintaining that balance between, well, what do I need to know? Because I don't need to know what Sour Patch Australia, if that exists, is doing on Threads so that I can post about it. So some great advice there, guys. Our next question, I'm going to come to Grace's question for this one, which is a really nice, actionable question. Again, to all of you, so feel free to jump in. What would you focus on in the first 90 days if you were to get started on LinkedIn as a creator tomorrow? Amazing question. So
My answer is going to be really short for this one. And honestly, it's getting over the cringe. For the first 90 days, you need to be just focusing on your mindset around posting. And that's it. Like, if you can show up and just post something and not feel like there is a spider crawling up your back, that is going to be the best thing that you could possibly do for yourself. So for 90 days, I challenge you to log on to LinkedIn every day, post something, and give yourself a big breath out and go about your business.
I'd love to jump in here because I just filmed a YouTube video on this, which I honestly felt like it was like my thesis like 5 hours recording this thing, and you can see like how invested I am. When I watched the footage back, I cringed and I was like, I'm not shooting this again. This is fine. Um, but what I would say, I love that, Tameka. I think like getting over the cringe, like just post is so much harder than it seems. But you're not going to learn, and you can draft as many posts and film as many videos and edit. Unless you post them, you're not going to get that feedback. So it's almost not even worth creating them if you're not going to post them. So yes, very big proponent of that. Along with kind of start by optimizing your profile, get that out of the way. A lot of folks, I think, get hung up on the idea of like their niche and like what are they going to talk about? What are their content pillars? And my best kind of exercise for this, I love talking about this, is if you want to figure out like your niche or what you should be talking about, imagine you've been invited on a podcast and then think about how does the host introduce you? And what are you going to talk about for the entire podcast? Like, what can you keep talking about for an hour or whatever the case is? I think that's a great place to start with your kind of niche, but you don't have to pigeonhole yourself. Like you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Like just get it out into the universe, get that feedback. Yeah, I think just start is such great advice.
If I could underline something that Kirsty said at the beginning, but you said that you recorded something and then you watched it back and you got the cringe, but then you were like, you're not going to re-record that shit, and you
It's
still did
fine.
it. And I think that's such a perfect example of all of the ways that we can like change, like how our brain, like when you actually see how like cringe is not real and it's really just your brain. Because once you put in work into something, right? And immediately your brain overrode that feeling and you were like, well, this is just going to have to be it. It doesn't matter how I feel about it because I'm not redoing this. And I think that is such a perfect example of how when you weigh what's important or when your brain is weighing what's actually important, it's so easy to override cringe because that shit is just not real.
I agree. I think it was my second husband, Austin Butler, did a is it Subway Takes where they're like on, yeah, it's Subway Takes, right? Where they like have the mic. Girls, he's gorgeous. So my second husband, Austin Butler, he was on Subway Takes. And I don't know what they were talking about. I haven't seen the full interview, but there's this clip I see on TikTok all the time where obviously he shares the most incredible knowledge because, of course, and he talks about how embarrassment or cringe is an underexplored emotion. And exactly as you were saying there, Tameka, like to make a habit of something is you just do it all the time. A good question from Sandra. Very important question, Sophie. Who is your first husband? I actually have a beautiful blonde boyfriend. He's called James. I've been with him 11 years this year. Boyfriend, not husband, but we're manifesting it for one day. So he is first husband, Austin Butler's second husband, and the guy that plays Rafe Cameron in Outer Banks, he's third husband.
Oh my gosh, I love Rafe. Good
Good.
choices. Good choices for husbands. I
Good.
love a woman that knows that she should have 2 to 3 husbands at any given time. So
It's true, and I have a type as well. I just like a blonde boy. There's a confident guy. So if anyone wants to be the fourth, let me know. Imagine. Right, we have a really good question from Lee to end on that kind of tails off of your answers there, ladies. And the question is, how do you deal with those trolls or potential haters? Lee has said they are very new to putting themselves out there and can get very sensitive. So when it comes to the sentiment of just post and getting over cringe, maybe that's the easy part. But how do you deal with potential disagreements or trolls, as Lee has described?
I think for me, I block them. My best, most used button in life is the block button. You have to use it. And I'll also say like there is some self-work that you have to do if you're going to put yourself online. Like there's affirmations, there are things that you need to tell yourself whenever you see a hater. Like the right audience is going to find me. I believe in my work. I believe in my voice. I feel seen, heard, and realized. Like there's an inner work journey that I don't think creators talk about enough, so that you consistently can show up online as your best self when people try to knock you down. And I'll also say a lot of the people that you're going to find are your haters are the people that wish they could do what you're doing. They are inspired by your work and they wish they had the courage, the audacity, the skill to go after their dreams the same way that you are. And you have to remind yourself that every single time you get a hate comment, because people want to bring you down to their level, and it's your job to stand tall and believe in yourself and keep going and keep showing up. And like, these haters don't pay your bills. They don't. Just always remember that too. But yeah.
I also feel like if you're getting haters as well, you're doing something right. I've only ever had nasty comments on the posts that have gone the most viral, and I love LinkedIn for this. This is probably like a little mean, but they did it themselves. But like, I don't think folks realize that when they're saying something mean on a LinkedIn post, like their boss is gonna see it. Like it's gonna show up. I responded to like a mean comment the other day. I was like, "Hello, Max," or whatever his name was. He was like an older white man because always. And I was like, just so you know, just like friendly. Yeah, I don't typically reply, but I think like it's give yourself a pat on the back as well because it means you are succeeding.
I'm gonna add to this again, and I realize that all of my answers tend to be it depends. There's no such thing as balance, but I just like to I like to give people space to exist, right? I absolutely agree with Jerrica that you do have to do a lot of inner work in order to be this visible. I also think that there are some days that I'm highly combative, and now I'm arguing with Ben on LinkedIn. And there are some days where I'm not about to do this shit, and now you're getting blocked. And there are some days where you don't get a response from me, and I just don't care. I think that there's no one direct path to how you manage this level of visibility. I think no matter what, that inner work does need to happen, but sometimes people are going to catch you on an off day, and now you got to cut some ass. And it just is what it is. And it is what it is. Okay. We are all human beings. And it just, you sometimes end up in a situation when you're like, yeah, like you caught me on day one of like my period, and now we're going at it. Um, but I think overall, when you are this level of visible, the one thing you need to tell yourself is these people don't know me, but you also need to ask yourself, you also don't know them. You don't know them from Adam. What do you owe these people? Right? And so if that needs to be the first thing you ask yourself when you are trying to figure out, why does this bother me so much? Why does dissenting opinion, disagreeing, saying that I'm wrong? Because this is not going to be the first or last time anybody disagrees with you. This is not going to be the first or last time anybody says, I think that's dumb. um, and so you really need to allow yourself to get comfortable with dissenting opinion, um, because sometimes it's a good prerequisite to change or clarity, but you also need to be okay with the fact that you're not always going to respond with grace every day.
I agree. That's such big sister advice from me. And to your point, one, great points, everyone. Two, Kirsty, I actually had it a few years ago. I went like major viral on LinkedIn because I did a post about how I don't drink alcohol. I think this was about 3 years ago. This post, I think it racked up, I've deleted it now, but it racked up 120,000 likes. So like God knows how many impressions there were. There were thousands of comments. And what I thought was crazy, some of these comments were absolutely brutal, like crazy level. And I had one woman, I guess I'm assuming, but a middle-aged woman, quite a senior position, and she was going at me in the comment section. She called me a little bitch. Oh my God, what else was she saying? Like just the craziest comments, right, guys?
She would have poured that alcohol down your throat if she had the chance. Like what? Like
Drink it right now.
imagine someone arguing with you over a tequila bottle.
Right? And imagine arguing over my truth. You can do what you want, Sandra, or whatever her name was.
Yes.
She deleted it shortly after, because obviously it was a public comment, and other people were replying, like, why would you say this? I screenshotted it and I sent it to her employer. And I don't know what happened from there. I blocked her shortly afterwards. Best wishes, honey. But exactly that, Kirsty. If someone takes it too far, you are well within your right to do what you need to do to protect yourself. And as you said, Jerrica, whether that's blocking them, Tameka, whether that's sharing an answer back, whether that's just deciding that they're not worth your effort, or whether that's screenshotting it and sending it to their boss. I see TikToks all the time about like, I will delete your comment because this is a dictatorship, and that was. But you're right, girls. Like, this is your space, and you guys, you
Yeah.
have full reason and right to do what you need to do to feel comfortable and confident there. So, I love all the big sister energy. I feel like all you guys, you're in my corner. These ladies are in your corner as well, guys. But I hope you have been inspired today. You've learned from some amazing journeys today. You've got some awesome insights today. If you're watching on the replay, I hope you enjoyed and I hope you had fun joining us. And I will see you next Thursday. Next Thursday, we're live at a different time. We're live at 9 a.m. UK time, where I'm going to be speaking with Chloe all about how long form is so back. Chloe set up and managed the YouTube channel at JD Sports for the first half of her career, and now she runs a YouTube agency, one of the first in the UK. So she's going to be sharing all of her insights around why long form is back, how to do YouTube, her career journey. She is amazing, just as these women are, and you are going to absolutely love her. But guys, thank you so much for joining. Ladies, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and your insights. All of their LinkedIns will be dropped in the email over to you guys shortly. And if you're watching on the replay, they will all be down here. So you can follow along, give them some love, soak up their amazingness. But until then, I will see you guys next Thursday. Have a lovely Thursday, Friday weekend, and I will see you then. See you later, guys. Thank you.